Hello again, and welcome to Storytime with Nana Lynn and Glow. We've reached the last story in our book, I Love Christmas, which is compiled by Walter Retan and illustrated by Carolyn Ewing. Now, this story is written by Lincoln Steffans, and just a little piece on Mr. Steffans before we get into the story. He was born in San Francisco in 1866 and spent most of his boyhood years on a small California ranch near Sacramento. Although he later became famous for his newspaper articles, he never forgot the youthful joys of riding horseback with his cowboy friends. The first part of the autobiography of Lincoln Steffans, published in 1931, provides a classic picture of what it was like to be a boy in California during the 1870s, when the glamour of pioneer days had not yet faded. In the excerpt that follows, Steffans tells about the Christmas when he wanted a pony more than anything else in the world. As you read the story, you will discover why that particular Christmas turned out to be both the best and the worst Christmas of his entire life. So now I'm intrigued. So let's read A Miserable Merry Christmas. My father's business seems to have been one of slow but steady growth. He had his local partner, Llewellyn Tozer, and they were devoted to their families and to the store, which grew with the town. As the store made money, I was getting through the primary school. My father bought a lot uptown at 16 and K Streets and built us a big house. It was off the line of the city's growth, but it was near a new grammar school for me and my sisters, who were coming along fast after me. This interested the family, but not me. They were always talking about school. They had not had much of it themselves, and they thought they had missed something. What interested me in our new neighborhood was not the school, nor the room I was to have in the house all to myself, but the stable which was built back of the house. My father let me direct the making of a stall, a little smaller than the other stalls, for my pony, and I prayed and hoped, and my sister Lou believed that that meant that I would get the pony, perhaps for Christmas. I pointed out to her that there were 3 other stalls and no horses at all. This, I said, in order that she should answer it. She could not. My father said that someday we might have horses and a cow. Meanwhile, a stable added value to that of the house. Someday is a pain to a boy who lives in and knows only now. My good sisters, to comfort me, remarked that Christmas was coming. But Christmas was always coming, and grown-ups were always talking about it, asking what you wanted and then giving you what they wanted you to have. Though everybody knew what I wanted, I told them all again. My mother knew that I told God, too, every night I wanted a pony. And to make sure that they understood, I declared that I wanted nothing else. Nothing but a pony? My father asked. Nothing, I said. Not even a pair of high boots. That was hard. I did want boots, but I stuck to the pony. No, not even boots. Nor candy? There ought to be something to fill your stocking with, and Santa Claus can't put a pony into a stocking. Well, that was true. And he couldn't lead a pony down the chimney either. But no, all I want is a pony, I said. If I can't have a pony, give me nothing. Nothing. Now, I had been looking myself for the pony I wanted, going to sales stables, inquiring of horsemen, and I had seen several that would do. My father let me try them. I tried so many ponies that I was learning fast to sit a horse. I chose several, but my father always found some fault with them. I was in despair. When Christmas was at hand, I had given up all hope of a pony. And on Christmas Eve, I hung up my stocking along with my sisters, of whom, by the way, I now had 3. They were so happy that Christmas Eve that I had caught some of their merriment. I speculated on what I'd get. I hung up the biggest stocking I had, and we all went reluctantly to bed to wait till morning. Not to sleep, not right away. We were told that we must not only sleep promptly, we must not wake up till 7:30 the next morning, or if we did, we must not go to the fireplace for our Christmas. Impossible. We did sleep that night, but we woke up at 6 a.m. We lay in our beds and debated through the open doors whether to obey till, say, 6:30. Then we bolted. I don't know who started it, but there was a rush. We all disobeyed. We raced to disobey and get first to the fireplace in the front room downstairs. And there they were, the gifts. All sorts of wonderful things, mixed up piles of presents, only, as I disentangled the mess, I saw that my stocking was empty. It hung limp. Not a thing in it. And or under, or around it. Nothing. My sisters had knelt down, each by her pile of gifts. They were squealing with delight, till they looked up and saw me standing there in my nightgown with nothing. They left their piles to come to me and look with me at my empty place. Nothing. They felt my stocking. Nothing. I don't remember whether I cried at that moment, but my sisters did. They ran with me back to my bed, and there we all cried till I became indignant. That helped some. I got up, dressed, and driving my sisters away, I went alone out to the yard, down to the stable, and there, all by myself, I wept. My mother came out to meet me, and by she found me in my pony stall, sobbing on the floor, and she tried to comfort me. But I heard my father outside. He had come part way with her, and she was having some sort of angry quarrel with him. She tried to comfort me, besought me to come to breakfast. I could not. I wanted no comfort for breakfast. She left me and went into the house with sharp words for my father. I don't know what kind of a breakfast the family had. My sisters said it was awful. They were ashamed to enjoy their own toys. They came to me, and I was rude. I ran away from them. I went around to the front of the house and sat down on the steps, and the crying over, I ached. I was wronged. I was hurt. I can now feel what I felt then, and I'm sure that if one could see the wounds upon our hearts, there would be found still upon mine a scar from that terrible Christmas morning. And my father, the practical joker, he must have been hurt too a little. I saw him looking out of the window. He was watching me or something for an hour or two, drawing back the curtain ever so little lest I catch him, but I saw his face, and I think I can see now the anxiety upon it, the worried impatience. After, I don't know how long, surely hours, an hour or two, I was brought to the climax of my agony by the sight of a man riding a pony down the street. A pony and a brand new saddle, the most beautiful saddle I ever saw. And it was a boy's saddle. The man's feet were not in the stirrups. His legs were too long. The outfit was perfect. It was the realization of all my dreams, the answer to all of my prayers. A fine new bridle, a light curb bit, and the pony. As he drew nearer, I saw that the pony was really a small horse, what we called an Indian pony, a bay, with black mane and tail, and one white foot, and a white star on his forehead. For such a horse as that, I could have forgiven anything. But the man, a disheveled fellow, with a blackened eye and a fresh-cut face, came along, reading the numbers on the houses, and, as my impossible hopes rose, he looked at our door and passed by. He and the pony, and the saddle, and the bridle. Too much. I fell upon the steps, and having wept before, I broke now into such a flood of tears that I was a floating wreck when I heard a voice. "Say, kid," it said, "do you know a boy named Lenny Steffans?" I looked up. It was the man on the pony, back again at our block. "Yes," I spluttered through my tears, "that's me." "Well," he said, "then this is your horse. I've been looking all over for you in your house. Why don't you put your number where it can be seen?" "Get down," I said, running out to him. He went on saying something about ought to have got here at 7 o'clock. Told me to bring the nag here and tie him to your post and leave him for you. He got down, and he boosted me up to the saddle. He offered to fit the stirrups to me, but I didn't want him to. I just wanted to ride. "What's the matter with you?" he said angrily. "What are you crying for? Don't you like horses? He's a dandy, this horse. I know him of old. He's fine at cattle. He'll drive him along." I hardly heard. I could scarcely wait, but he persisted. He adjusted the stirrups, and then finally off I rode, slowly at a walk, so happy, so thrilled, that I did not know what I was doing. I did not look back at the house or the man. I rode off up the street, taking note of everything, of the reins, of the pony's long mane, of the carved leather saddle. I had never seen anything so beautiful, and mine. I was going to ride up past Miss Kay's house, but I noticed on the horn of the saddle some stains like raindrops. So I turned and trotted home, not to the house, but to the stable. There was the family, father, mother, sisters, all working for me, happily. They had been putting in place the tools of my new business, blankets, curry comb, brush, pitchfork, everything, and there was hay in the loft. "What did you come back so soon for?" somebody asked. "Why didn't you go on riding?" I pointed to the stains. "I wasn't going to get my new saddle rained on," I said, and my father laughed. "It isn't raining," he said. "Those are not raindrops." "They are tears," my mother gasped, and she gave my father a look which sent him off to the house. Worse still, my mother offered to wipe away the tears still running out of my eyes. I gave her such a look as she had given him, and she went off after my father, drying her own tears. My sisters remained, and we all unsaddled the pony, put on his halter, and led him to his stall, tied him, and fed him. It began to really rain, so all the rest of that memorable day we curried and combed that pony. The girls plaited his mane, his forelock and tail, while I pitchforked hay to him and curried and brushed and curried and brushed. For a change, we brought him out to drink and led him up and down, blanketed like a racehorse. We took turns at that. But the best and the most inexhaustible fun was to clean him. When we went reluctantly to our midday Christmas dinner, we all smelt of horse, and my sisters had to wash their faces and hands. I was asked to, but I wouldn't, till my mother bade me look in the mirror. Then I washed up quick. My face was caked with muddy lines of tears that had coursed over my cheeks to my mouth. Having washed away that shame, I ate my dinner, and as I ate, I grew hungrier and hungrier. It was my first meal that day, and as I filled up on the turkey and the stuffing, the cranberries and the pies, the fruit, the nuts, as I swelled, I could laugh. My mother said I still choked and sobbed now and then, but I laughed too. I saw and enjoyed my sister's presence till I had to go out and attend to my pony, who was there, really and truly there, the promise, the beginning of a happy double life. And I went and I looked to make sure that there was the saddle too, and the bridle. But that Christmas, which my father had planned so carefully, was it the best or the worst I ever knew? He often asked me that, and I never could answer as a boy. I think now that it was both. It covered the whole distance, from broken-hearted misery to bursting happiness too fast. A grown-up could hardly have understood it. So there we go. He got his pony. He was happy. He was sad. I see why that could be the greatest and the worst Christmas you ever had. And that concludes our book of I Love Christmas. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. And I do hope that you get what you want for Christmas, what you've longed for and what you've prayed for. But most importantly, I hope you have good health, peace, love, and joy. I'll see you in the next video.